Hello and welcome to the Unwanted Opinion podcast, the show which me and my friends give our unwanted opinion on all things film. My name is Lewis and I'm joined today with Kyle.
Hello, hello.
Hello, on this very spontaneous special
Yeah,
unwanted opinion we're doing today on Longlegs because me and Kyle, obviously this weekend we saw Longlegs, which is apparently going to be the Studio Neon's biggest opening of any film ever.
yeah,
Apparently, in the States, going to open to about $20 million. And it's taken the internet by storm. You know, people want to talk about this. It's a hot topic. A lot of people have a lot of hot opinions on it. So me and Kyle
yeah,
thought we'd jump
definitely.
on and give those opinions, our opinions, I guess, of this. So, Kyle, let's jump right in. This will be a spoiler-free and spoiler-filled review of Longlegs. So, in the first half, we'll give our spoiler-free thoughts. If you know that entices you to go see the film or whatever, then that's good. And then you can join us for the spoiler section later on.
Yeah,
But of course, I'll leave time codes below if you just want to jump to the spoiler bit or you just want to ignore that bit altogether. But yes, so Longlegs was written and directed by Oz Perkins, which Kyle, you showed me. He's
I sent you
actually
this
the
thing.
son. Yes,
Yeah,
he's the son of the guy who played Norman
uh,
Bates, or the
Norman
guy who
Norman
directed.
Bates. No, he
Yeah,
well he also directed Psycho 2 or Psycho 3. Um,
okay. So
but
he's
Anthony
comes
something
from
another. Yeah, who played
Anthony Perkins.
Norman
Anthony
Bates
Perkins, yeah.
and
Ah, right.
obviously the very famous Alpha Hitchcock Psycho. So comes
Yeah,
from
he's got
horror heritage
horror
family.
dynasty, really.
Uh
Yeah.
huh. Which
Wow.
was something I was
Mm.
like, I didn't realize that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So yeah, written and directed by Oz Perkins and stars Micah Monroe, Nicolas Cage, and Blair Underwood. So Longlegs opens in some sort of, I guess we're in the Midwestern undisclosed state,
Yeah,
1970s, with this little girl out just before her birthday. In some snowy farm, when a car pulls up, a mysterious black figure watches her, and she hears something, and then some other person is around on the farm as well. We then jump about 20 odd years in the future. It's now the 1990s, and there's a little girl who's grown up to become an FBI agent, Agent Lee Harker, who's Micah Monroe. And then soon she's sort of investigating this case where apparently all these connections have been made, where someone has come into this family. He's somehow convinced the father to murder his family and then
yeah.
himself. And there's been a series of about 10 murders over the course of many, many years. And
And
all
there's
that's
always
left the case.
the connections that there's
I
always
could,
one 9-year-old girl who
yes,
birthday was on the something of the month. I actually forgot what
the
day it was.
14th, the
Thank you.
14th
Yeah, it's like
of each month, yes. And all that's left the crime scene is some cryptic message with address, or should I say, with the name Longlegs at the end of the letter. So, Kyle, what did you think of Longlegs?
so. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I have to say that I'm not usually into like these main mega horror kind of films. But the
Right?
marketing for this and just the kind of
Mm-hmm.
the online presence that this film gained, like the kind of
Mm-hmm.
like everybody on
Mm-hmm.
Twitter going like, if I'm not coming out of this shaking with fear, then I want my money back. And
Yeah,
I'm like, all right,
yeah.
okay, this is, the
Mm-hmm.
marketing that really hid Nicolas Cage's character of Longlegs and kind of was like hiding the fact
Yes,
that
did a good job
you
on
know
that.
they
Mm-hmm.
did amazing marketing where it's like they attached a heart rate monitor into Mia on a scene where she first met
Yeah.
him, first saw his
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
his character, and like her heart rate goes
Yes.
mental, and I'm like, oh my god, what is this film? I need to see this. I I always have to say I was really
Mhm.
pleased when I went in. So I saw a good
Mhm.
4 or 5 hours before you on a couple days ago,
Mm.
and I was
Mhm.
like, and I first thing I messaged you when I came down, I was like, mate, this is packed. Like it's a mid
Yeah,
afternoon
crazy. My
showing
my show was
of
very
a
busy. Yeah.
horror film, and I was like, this
Mm.
is packed. I'm loving
Mhm.
seeing cinema packed. But yeah,
Mhm.
and what I thought, I was like, this is a very good horror. This is a
Mhm.
really well shot film. I have to say that I was like,
Oh yeah. Oh
the
yes.
cinematography on it was incredible. That first little kind of sequence at the beginning, they do a kind of really kind
Mm.
of interesting. It's not even an aspect ratio change. It's almost like you're viewing it through some sort of like lens
Yeah,
where it kind of,
old. I can't remember what this old 70s cameras are called, but it's square.
yeah, yeah, you know what I mean.
And it's like home
So
footage sort of thing. Yeah.
it is. So they do that, and I was like, that's so cool. And then
Mm,
just the kind of vibe that you get, this kind of really unsettlingly easiness, the
mm,
sound, the score, I was like, "Ooh, that's great." Um,
mm,
the performances from the characters are really good. They're really creepy, and then we
mhm.
could, the actual story. That's something that we're going to discuss later, definitely in spoilers.
Yeah.
Um, I would definitely say, like I feel like a lot of people on the internet are saying that I thought the first two thirds of this
Mm,
film was stronger than the last third. Um,
mhm,
because and weirdly it is split into three parts, and that kind of works out. I do
mhm,
think parts one and two were very much stronger than the third part. Trying to not spoil anything in the
mhm.
non-spoiler section
No.
first. But yeah, I mean, was I scared to the same extent as I've
Mhm,
had been in other films? Probably not.
mm,
Um, I
mhm.
wouldn't say it is what people have been saying the scariest movie of this century or this decade. Um,
Mhm.
I
Okay, yeah.
personally feel that, I mean, we always talking. I always compare it to things. The Night House, a great
Mm, yeah.
horror film that I remember having a few more. Like I'm saying, like jump scare wise and like edge
Mm,
of my seat. The Night House
mhm.
still is unbeaten because I'm still scared from that one jump
Mm.
scene. 5 years
It's
later,
never a ridiculously loud jump scare, I remember that.
it's never stopped.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
have to admit that I did feel very uneasy watching this film, especially
Mhm,
when you don't know the story and when you don't
mhm.
have the pieces of the
Yeah, all the
puzzle.
pieces, yeah.
Because you'll
Yeah.
discover
Mhm,
things and you're like, what the heck is this about? That is so weird. That is so
mhm,
creepy.
mhm,
What?
mhm,
Um, and then I have to say that by the third act, I'm maybe a bit like, okay, I don't know if I'll be able to
mhm,
rewatch this
mhm.
and have that same feeling of a first time
Yeah, okay, yeah,
experience.
because you
What
know
about
it's kind
you?
of
How do you feel? Is that?
uh well, like you say, I mean, I think what's great, like you're saying, that entire opening sequence is brilliant. I love the way
Yeah.
they shoot a certain character, um, and the way they cut off that thing. I think that's fantastic, and that is a great jump scare to open the film. I'll
Yeah.
say that got me off guard. Um, the entire first half, first two thirds, kind of throughout the whole thing, I guess, is for me it just kept a horrible sense of dread. Like it just felt so dour, so bleak, so it was like a really unforgiving, horrible, cruel world you've
Mm,
entered.
yeah.
It's just so grim, and I really like you're saying the way it's shot by Andrea Rocci, and what I really like about the shots as well is that there's real depth and layer to each shot. I mean, obviously there's close up where the background's blurred, but most of the time it's like deep focus and like there's like a geometry to the space, and it's like there's layers to an entire scene, and there's a lot going on with the mise en scène. It's all very not cluttered. It's just like it's everything's very visible and it's all
Yeah.
very well positioned and everything's well blocked and there's not like a lots of cuts or anything like that. It's just a really, cleanly shot film that kind of captures this really bleak world. Is it ever sunny in the film? Maybe once, and like one
Um,
like kind of sunny morning, but not really.
I
It's
would
always just
probably say
very
the closest that is that opening scene where it's snowy and it's just a
it's
bit
just white. It's
sunshine.
just white.
Yeah, it's white.
Yeah, it's just
It's
white.
hard
Yeah,
to.
it's not. It's kind of stripped of any sort of brightness, or sort
Hmm.
of warmth, I should say, in the film.
Um,
Michael Monroe, I really like her character. She's very straight, very like
Lee Harker. I don't know. Yeah.
deadpan. Yes, Lee Harker. Yes, very. She delivers things very monotone. She's not a very well. She has situations where she does obviously get very emotional. I mean, there is
Yeah.
going to be some sort of connection to her life, of course, is what they kind of show in the trailer, is that she has some sort of connection to the case. Um, and even when that stuff's going down, she still gets very shaken by things, but she has very clear, focused um
Hmm.
mind on the situation. Nicolas Cage, on the other hand, is on the other end of the spectrum where
Yeah.
he is going crazy. But I will say they do a great job of not. I mean, when they show Nicolas Cage, I guess you couldn't if you didn't know it's Nicolas Cage and you don't not like watched a lot of his films or familiar with the way he does things. You might actually not be able to tell it's him because the
Yeah.
prosthetic work is really well
Visually,
done.
he's
Uh
got
huh.
very good prosthetics on him. I mean,
Uh huh.
I don't know if I could just I know his voice so well recently just from
Uh huh.
like
Yeah.
almost
Uh huh.
pre-knowledging it that I'm pretty sure like after a while,
Mm-hmm.
maybe about after
Mm-hmm.
40 minutes of the film, I'd be going, "Is that him? Is it?"
Yeah,
Because it's like
yeah. I
he's
I
got
thought
this
he was
size,
really
he's got the kind of
uh-huh,
the movement of Nicolas
mhm,
Cage, but obviously visually you're like,
mhm.
that's
Yeah. I also really liked his use of voice. I thought it was very, very unsettling. It's just very, very uneasy.
it's
I really
really
hated it.
creepy.
But what it is good at, like you're saying, this isn't a super jump scare. I mean, when the jump scares happen, I think they are very effective. But
Hmm.
overall, it's just pure atmosphere of pure just this cruel, uncaring, nasty world that
Yeah.
you've entered. And um, yeah, I just thought it was just a really, really atmospheric film. And when the jump scares do happen, I think what it does best is that it puts you in a sense of you're expecting those scares,
Um,
especially in like scenes when like
the
Lee's
eyes. I'll just say the
yeah
eyes.
or yeah the eyes of the dolls are really creepy, and also they have the like when Lee's in her cabin, you're sort of expecting something to a
Oh,
jump
there's
scare to
that whole
happen, or when
sequence that I
she's
was like,
yeah where uh-huh or where she's alone in a library and you're like, oh, there's something's going to happen here, and
mhm,
then it doesn't, and it's sort of always putting you on the edge of like, oh, something is going to happen. Now this film obviously have some sort of twist, a couple twists throughout, which we'll get to in spoilers. It's one where at first I guess I was really kind of taken like, oh, okay, and it's not so much the twist for me that is the issue. I'm not. I mean, I highly recommend this film. I'll say that the twist for me isn't. It doesn't go. Oh, that's bad twist. You
mhm.
know, I'm not saying that. I just think the way things are left with the film, I think I wanted a bit less explained. I'll say that. I think they
I
do much of an
yeah,
effort to sort of tie everything up in a neat bow,
no,
and people like that.
I'm with you
People
there.
like everything concrete, but I would have liked there to be more uncertainty and mystery
Hmm.
around what's going on by the end of the film, which you don't really get by the end of it. Your answers are given to you. So if you are one of those people who doesn't like ambiguity, you're in for a
You're
treat
fine.
because there isn't
Yeah,
much ambiguity by the end of the film. Um, and I
I
think that's
think
kind of where I lie with it. Uh-huh.
yeah, I'm with you. I feel that I would have preferred the twist more, having less
Mhm.
ambiguity, having more kind of
You need more.
ambiguity about it,
Yeah.
because I was a bit more
Mhm.
like, it's very much I can talk about in spoilers what I
Mhm.
think could have done slightly better to
Mhm.
have me prefer this film a wee bit more, especially in that
Mhm.
twist,
Mhm.
because it's so hard to say anything without giving
Mhm.
away it. But when they kind of
Mhm.
when the twist was given, I was like, okay, right,
Mhm.
but is it?
Mhm.
That's my
Yeah.
kind of thing. I was like, is it?
Mhm.
And then it
Mhm.
was, and I was like, right, okay, that's what upsets me, because I would have loved that. Is
Okay.
it? And then we're like left with
You don't know.
is
Mhm.
it, or is this just a crazy
Mhm.
person that think I
Yeah.
don't know this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but we get a surprise kind of cameo. I say cameo. Mm. They go visit somebody, a
Mhm.
previous victim that survived, and it
Mhm.
is played by the actress whose name is Kira. The person she was in
Kieran
Sabrina the
Shipka.
Teenage. Yeah, she was in the Sabrina the
Yes.
Teenage Witch, the
Mhm.
Netflix version,
Yeah.
and I was just like, when she was on there, I was like, I recognize you, and I was like, you're quite
Mhm.
creepy right now. Actually, I found that
Yeah,
scene
she was very creepy
very
in the film.
creepy. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then talking about people who have just in his films, Lee Harker goes to visit her mum once. Who's kind of
Mhm.
like a bit of a hoarder in this house, which is
Yeah.
just
He's got something
set
going for
designer.
her. Yeah.
Set designer must have loved just chucking stuff in that set.
Yeah.
But did you see the tweet I sent you about her as well?
Oh, what was the tweet? Sorry,
Who
I don't
she
remember.
played? Uh, she
She was in. Oh,
played.
she was in Twin Peaks: The Return, wasn't she? Yeah, and she's
No,
worked with
no,
him
no. I'm not
before.
sorry. I'm
Yeah,
talking about
yeah.
before that.
What one?
She played
What?
She played little Atreides in original June, the toddler.
Oh yeah, yeah. So she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I was
yeah, yeah.
just like,
That
I
little
was just
lip. Yeah.
like,
Hmm.
that's just funny. That's just so like
Yeah,
random. I was like,
yeah,
I thought you would have
yeah.
stopped at that age. Because you're like
Oh, she was
five and
very
you were in
old.
in that June. But yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, apart from that kind of twist and how I felt about the twist, especially the kind of ending.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I what am I going to say about
Seriously.
no, actually, I'm thinking about the marketing, right? There's a lot of
Yes.
things that I've seen on Twitter that I think misled me slightly. Um,
All right.
in
Okay.
in
Okay.
terms of like people hyping this up, because
Okay.
there's it's just one tweet that got a lot of thing. I kept seeing it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just gonna say because I'm like I didn't think it was true, but they're like they
Mm.
posted the poster and it's a scene of Lee like gasping. You know, it's a scene from the film,
Yes.
and then the
Yes.
caption
Yeah.
is like this is more horrifying when you see when you understand the context of
Yeah.
the next bit.
Yeah.
And then knowing the next bit, I'm
Yeah.
like, it's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be because it's actually quite
Well,
just
it's
like
it's pretty disturbing,
it's
for the
disturbing, but
character to see.
it's disturbing for the
Yeah.
character, but for what they were making it out,
Yeah.
it was like we were
Mm,
gonna be visually disturbed. Um,
mm, mm.
by it. But no, I mean, the marketing was good. I think the actual marketing from the studio is incredible because they
Mm, mm.
gave little away really
Yeah.
well
Yeah.
on
They
everything.
managed to make it some sort of. So they managed to make it a kind of an event where it's like you have to see what is going to happen here. You
No,
know,
that's what they did. I
you
mean,
have to
that
see
was
what
literally
everyone's talking about. Yeah.
half the reason I went to see this film because I was like, I need to know what
Mhm.
this is.
Yeah. 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 No. Well, I
But
already gave scores, and then we'll move into
yeah,
spoilers so we can talk about this
we'll
twist.
do that. Okay.
Mm.
Do you want me to go
Oh,
first?
you do it. Yeah.
I'm
No.
gonna give it. I'm gonna give it a solid 8 out of 10. Like I said, it is really
Yeah.
well shot film. I thought every performance
Mm,
in it was really good. Cinematography wise,
mm,
really good. Score, really good. Story, 2/3 of it, I really enjoyed. And the last bit,
mm.
I'm happy, but I'm not overly happy. That's what I'm gonna give it with.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna give it a strong 8 out of 10. It's a film though I really weirdly want to see again though. I want to see what more I could get out of it, what more I can pick
Mm.
up because knowing what happens, I'm like, well, how does this recontextualize everything that kind of happens and goes on? So it's one where I'm intrigued to see it again. And hopefully I'll get the chance to see it again before it leaves theaters. I mean, I assume it might be in for a while because
I
people are
think it'll pick
interested.
up pace. Yeah.
But out of the horror films I've seen this year, I mean, The Beast is up there with The Beast. I found this really unsettling, horrible. I mean, just really what it's got to say just about. I know it really kind of like not in the sort of going back to like the David Lynch sort of like the way he sort of looks at like evil in the world. It's more he looks kind of at like the side of the same coin sort of thing. It's more of like looking at it's just straight up nasty. It's just looking at a really cruel,
Yeah.
cynical, horrible, dark world that we sort of inhabit. And there's also kind of a running commentary which I want to get into and spoilers as well about the idea of what we do in the name of faith and things. So we'll get to that right
Mm-hmm.
now. I'm giving it a strong 8 out of 10. I would like to see it again, especially before we do the end of the year list, and maybe we'll see where that ranks above it. But yes, Kyle, right? Spoilers now. We're going to spoil the film. If you're
Spoiler
not
time.
interested, then that's great. But here we go. So yes, the twist it turns out Longlegs has an accomplice, right? And once they capture Longlegs, very Dark Knight style, and that he sort of just anticipates getting captured, waits at the bus stop, and there he is. Presumably he knows because we didn't really mention this in spoiler free section as well as that Lee has some sort of they say half psychic connection, which is sort of explained why she has that psychic connection because of the twist that happens. So once he is captured, he then says he has an accomplice. She then goes and finds out the accomplice is in fact her mother, who's been
Yeah.
working with Longlegs the entire time, committing all
Mm-hmm.
these murders, in order to protect her own daughter, because Longlegs, way back in the 70s, I think was going to go kill Lee
So
in her
she's the
house.
girl at the start
Yeah,
of the
she's
movie.
the girl at the start, and he was going to kill her, but her mum stopped it. And obviously, the devil needs to be satisfied and needs to be given
Well,
souls
have we even brought up
of
that part? Have we even really mentioned the
yeah.
fact that Longlegs is working
Well,
for the man downstairs?
for for the man downstairs is what he's called. The downstairs from where? Downstairs from everywhere. Yes, he is working with the devil, and the devil needs these souls, and so uses sort of like tie some sort of weird satanic connection in that the
Yeah,
mum has to now fill out all these murders, otherwise her own daughter will die. And she's sort of all these dolls that are given from the church are given to families that sort of possess them or mind
they've
warp them, and
they've got like a silver ball inside their head,
yeah,
and
Yes.
that has some sort of connection or something that what that
Yeah.
orb is dark magic or something, and
Yeah.
possesses the father that enrages him to
Hmm.
kill everybody plus himself.
Yes. Yeah. Plus,
Yeah.
while it leaves like the daughters kind of unknowing about what's going on around them, and that's why it's also blanked Lee's memories of all these incidents from the past because
Hmm.
she just the doll has some sort of weird like possession over her to completely blank out all these horrors. And in the end, obviously like there is that thing you're saying from the poster. I did enjoy that twist where
I
the
mean,
mum steps out from the back with the
yeah,
shotgun and she's wearing
it
the nun
wasn't. It
outfit.
wasn't the match that
That
twist.
was
I
a
was just
very
like,
creepy image. I was like,
it was.
wow, and then
But
she just shoots
you were.
the FBI agent in the face.
Uh
I was like,
huh.
oh,
I mean, but you did say that you were a
mm,
bit disappointed in the
mm.
scene after, where you thought it was something more than just her mum, and then you're just like, oh, it's
Yeah,
just her in a nun
right.
outfit. You're gonna go in that point.
Yeah, well, I think this is it for me because, like I'm saying, they tell you this is it. That's it. I've just
Hmm.
told you that is everything there really is to it. Longlegs has a partnership with the devil. They need to garner souls, and so they now
Because
have to,
they're
and then obviously because he didn't get young Lee, he now
yeah.
uses the mum
So
to get more souls. So
Lee
I'm
figured
like,
out
yeah,
there's a
okay,
pattern, wasn't there? And that there
yes,
was one more
hmm,
until this thing was complete.
yes, uh-huh.
And what does it do when it's
Um,
completed? We don't know, or if anything. But
no, we don't know. And of course, yeah, I mean, by the end, like she manages to save her boss's family or boss's daughter anyway from
yeah,
him and her mum killing her. So it is never complete. But with that whole thing, this is what I mean. Whereas like everything is kind of given like a some sort of in this world, I guess, rational explanation.
yeah,
Well, for me, I just wanted there to be a little bit more to it, a little bit. It's hard to really say. Like I kind of wanted with the mum thing. I remember actually texting you about it. Is that she's doing it in order to protect her daughter, right? So there is a
yeah,
sort of like clear emotional sick twist, even in a very horrible way. There's
yeah.
some
And
sort of human level of why she's doing this. But then I was kind of expecting it that Longlegs didn't matter in the end. Like I was kind of expecting that to be the bigger thing, is that Longlegs actually kind of sure he makes the dolls and everything, but maybe the plan could have always been done without him, and that Longlegs isn't actually necessary anymore once he made her do this, which is kind of
mhm.
the greater act of the devil. But it's not that. It's not like there's more, and then the mum's sort of becoming corrupted over time, and she's doing
I
this
mean,
no longer in the name of really to protect her daughter, but for the devil itself. And I
because
just
she
wanted
does do
even
that.
more
Yeah.
like craziness or darkness to it, but there's not really any mystery left by the end. It's like, yeah, that's it. You
Well, I
know?
mean, I was messaging you about this, and one of the kind of
Mm-hmm.
points I was wondering, I was like, right, were people wanting to get caught? Because
Mm-hmm.
the the first doll that we find is hidden in a barn, and it's X marks the spot,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a bunch of crosses that lead
Yeah.
to its location.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of wondering,
Mhm.
right, why? Who's done that?
Mhm.
Like, why would have Longlegs
Mhm.
or um Lee's mother wanted this to be found?
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
um, because at the end that doesn't matter. That doesn't lead. That's just the gimmick part of it. That's just to go here.
Yeah.
These dolls are something. That scene cannot be included in the film
Mhm.
at all, and it doesn't make any difference to the progressive of finding Longlegs because it all comes down to. And I kind of do get a bit bothered by this. Is that
It tells you about
the
the what's in the doll though. The
yeah,
ball
but
in the
that's
doll,
what I'm
and it
saying.
has
Like
some sort of
without
weird
that,
effect on.
it's not
Mhm.
like finding that doll has no effect on finding on Longlegs because
Mhm.
all that happens
Okay.
is the boss kind of goes, "Oh, here, your birthday's the 14th, and we've just looked at our
Yeah.
records, and your mum made a call on the
Mhm.
13th. Go and ask her
Yeah.
about it."
Go
That
ask. Yeah. Go ask her
that
about this.
scene could have
Mhm.
been, he could have
Mhm.
when he first brought Lee on at the start of the film, he could have looked that
Mhm.
day and went, "Huh, this is suspicious," done it, and the film would have been
Mhm.
25 minutes long. Like there
Mhm.
is a lot of things
Yeah.
up to that
Well,
point.
there is that weird thing as well where he doesn't seem to react when it's the 14th, and he goes, "Oh my daughter's birthday's the 14th." You know,
Yeah, he doesn't. There's
there is that weird. It's like he never ever
and
once
and
reacts to that,
and
and I'm
she's
like,
turning 9.
kind of
You know,
a major thing. That's
I
I'm
I
pretty
I
scared, man.
well, I
Uh,
don't know. The thing is, you could argue that it was possibly Lee being half psychic, and there's just maybe a leakage coming off of her
mm,
that's maybe
mm,
influencing other people. That because
mm,
is she? But so here was my big issue with the twist is
mm.
I was
Okay.
wondering, is this going to be a deranged person who genuinely thinks he's serving the devil? And
Yeah.
I was like, are they going to leave it ambiguous and just say he's very satanic and all that? But no, like it really is present. You see
Yeah. You
the
see the devil.
shape, you see the shape of the devil in a scene.
Hmm.
There
Hmm.
is when Lee's mother shotguns her daughter's
The other.
doll, you see a black mist
Yeah.
leaving some, and then like Lee
Hmm.
faints from the connection. So it's very true. And I
Hmm.
was I'm not like a bit confused about that scene because that kind of does suggest that Lee's mother wants her to be free. But I'm also like, here,
Hmm.
who left the phone call to tell Lee to come
Hmm.
to the birthday party? Because if it was her
Hmm.
mother, then she does truly want caught. It's like I'm
Hmm.
saying, everything's explained, so it actually leaves more questions unanswered because
Yeah. Yeah.
because they explain anything, you can't just be like, oh, maybe the
Hmm.
devil, because
Hmm.
it's all this. And,
Hmm.
and yeah, and I mean that ending where she kills her mother, and she's kind of standing there and trying to shoot the doll, but she seems to be out of bullets or something, and
Hmm. Hmm.
I just think kind of pans, and it's like, right, okay, so what happens next? Because that doll's
Hmm.
there, that
Hmm.
psychic connection's still connected. Um,
Hmm.
is it gonna
To a
be?
little
I
bit
mean,
to Ruth, I think it is. Yeah. Hmm.
like you say, like I don't know if it said if it ever continue the pattern, because
Hmm.
the pattern was going to be completed. That unholy triangle
Hmm.
was going to be finished, and something
Hmm.
may have happened. Who
Hmm.
knows? But yeah, yeah, I don't know.
I know we're
It
getting
confuses me.
really like bogged down by the particulars of things, but it is just overall that sort of just like there it is for you,
Yeah.
and I just don't know if it makes the entire thing stronger for me. I think actually keeping things weird and like you're saying, the, the devil is literally shown in points with the shadowy goated
Mhm.
figure, and that would have been interesting as well, as if
Mhm.
they played more in the ambiguity of that. But it is more he is literally doing those things,
Mhm.
and like I'm saying, I wish I kind of just needed a bit more mystery behind the whole thing, because it's said and done.
Yeah,
You're just like, yeah,
I
okay,
like the doll.
I get all the steps.
Yeah,
Hmm.
the doll being the way they get into the house hills, I liked,
Hmm.
and you could
Hmm.
have easily done it as just the doll was the vessel for the devil to see the act being done, and you kind of
Yeah.
left it at that, because I don't really
Hmm.
get the psychic connection, how it connects to the girl, and then it's just like I said, it's so
Hmm.
pernickety, and the
Hmm.
first two parts I'm like are so creepy. You don't understand what's
Hmm.
going on. You
Yeah. That.
question,
Yeah.
oh, is there something mystical happening? Because I'm
Hmm.
seeing shadows disappear and reappear.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know, does Longlegs want to connect with Lee, who is that missing birthday girl?
Hmm.
The kind of
Hmm.
psychological effect that this whole process and ritual has had on Longlegs is
Hmm.
so apparent, because he's so obedient. He's like, "What's your birthday, little?"
Yeah.
And he's so creepy when he says
Yeah.
that, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, it's so
Yeah. Yeah.
good." And yeah, I don't know if that twist leaves me.
Mhm.
I don't think it does leave me
Mhm.
happy with the ending of the
Mm.
film.
Yeah.
But I
Mm.
don't think it takes away from what the film is. Definitely.
No, what the film's strengths are. What I do like about it is that it adds to this. Like, see the fact that it's her mother all along committing all these atrocities. It's like I do like how what I was saying, how horrible this world is. I mean, and even in the beginning, where it's like the first case she kind of goes on, like the guy opens his door and immediately just gets shot in the head. Like it's
Yeah.
just proper nasty, nasty world that they live in, and it's all empty and it's all just rundown farms and like a rundown world. It's just there's no hope in it. And then to make matters worse, it's like even your own family's taken away from you because your mother's done this
Yeah.
all along, and she's someone that you now need to stop and kill. Um, to put an end to all this. And it's like even that one person you had is no longer there. It's like it really, really makes this entire world and
Did,
Lee's life just horrible, horrible.
did your cinema laugh at the one joke in the entire film?
What was the
And
joke again? I
it's
don't
when they
remember. What
go
joke.
to
It does have.
visit.
Uh,
I think is the one good joke. It's when they go to
yeah.
visit the survivor.
Oh yeah, the ID.
And
Yeah, everyone's like,
and
the
they're
ID
talking
joke.
to the
Yeah,
guy,
yeah,
and it's like,
yeah.
"Did you guys take your
Do
IDs?"
not check
No,
IDs.
but that sounds like a really good idea, and that just got the whole cinema
Yeah,
for like a brief
yeah,
second.
yeah.
The whole cinema
That was
burst
very
into
funny. Yeah,
laughter with that line,
yeah.
and I was
That's a
like,
good
"Oh,
idea.
brilliant!" I'm glad. I was like,
Mm.
that was quite funny because it's like, yeah, that'd be a really good idea.
Yeah, yeah. But like I was saying about that whole thing, I think there is like a whole running commentary, and like I said, I kind of want to look at it again, is go and see it. Is kind of what I picked up on. Is like there's that entire. Basically, it's kind of has that satirical element where this guy, even it ends the last line of the film is Nicolas Cage saying "Hail Satan" and winking to the camera, and
But
I
I'm
think it's a
also
whole sort of
that
uh
confused me because I'm like,
oh
he's. Oh, by the way, Longlegs dies. Um, you
yeah,
know,
long legs dies off, yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
because that's kind of meant to be after it, I'm guessing,
No, I
because
think that's just that I don't I think that's literally just like it's not
it's just
actually in the like he just
added.
winks at the
Yeah.
camera, so it's kind of irrelevant.
Hmm.
Um, but it kind of puts a whole kind of like a whole full stop in the thing where the Hail Satan wink, as I think Oz Perkins doing a commentary on what people do in the name of God.
Yeah.
And he actually in
Yeah.
an interview talked about it. He talked about well actually like far more millions of people have died in the name of God than they have in the
Oh
name of
no.
Satan.
Yeah.
And what people like, I mean, talk about the Crusades, you could talk about the entire genocide of Native Americans. Throughout the entire human history, all these acts done in the name of God have led to horrible, horrible, horrible acts on other people. And I think that is kind of the commentary on it all, is that he's doing, it's all about sort of that deep, not deep state, that sort of like those really Bible worshipping
Yeah.
types that you get who are nasty, nasty people who I've seen that like Donald Trump, who are like really horrible people who want to take away people's human rights, who want to do like really cruel things to other people, and people who are Christians or whatever they may be who have committed murders and atrocities, all in what
Yeah.
they think to be in the name of God. And I think that's kind of what he's getting at with the whole thing and this whole kind of setting it in that and where it's set. That sort of like we kind of don't really know, but it's like like Midwest sort of
Hmm.
America, with the farmlands and everything being run down and it being
Well,
quite bleak.
obviously,
So,
it's yeah, you're right
and
saying
I've
because obviously
yeah,
the
mm,
the way that they invite the way
mm.
they always get into the house is that she poses as a nun
It's a
from the
gift
church,
from the church as a
and
nun, yeah,
it's
yeah.
the idea is that any family will just randomly accept somebody from the church into their house because they have that
Yeah.
uncontrollable faith in that
Yeah.
establishment, which
Mhm.
it is. It's from all I'm saying about the twist, it was a really good film, and I do think it deserves
Yeah.
all the praise and hype it's been getting. Nicolas
Yeah,
Cage
I
is
do. I think
is
it's
genuinely uncomfortable in that film.
yeah. Mhm.
He is so uncomfortable, and you don't understand it. There's a great kind of parallel scene when he's screaming in the car,
Mhm.
and then later
Yeah.
on, Lee is
Uh-huh.
screaming in the same car at the same point, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of like, that's
Yeah.
just so.
It's great.
Um,
But that's great. Even when
yeah.
he's doing things like that, because you think, okay, it's very. I mean, Nicolas Cage just there's compilations on YouTube if you want to see him do over the top screams and performances, and you could, but I don't know. Nicolas Cage somehow can still control that. He can make
Mhm.
this. It is kind of over the toppy. It's kind of
Yeah,
like eccentric, but it's still very creepy. And when he does that, he's
because
literally just singing a song in the car. And also the sound design,
yeah,
to be fair, sound design in this film is also fantastic. That really aids in like making that whole thing really unsettling when the scream kind of distorts. And yeah, I just think everyone is really great in this film as well, like you were
I
saying.
I also I also do
Any
think that Longleg's character is like, I'm not
mm,
sure any character here is fully wanting to do
mm,
what they've done, because I do think there's leaks of people
mm,
coming out, because there's that great scene where you kind of get flashback when you have that kind of
mm,
annoying 5 minute flashback that just tells you everything. Um,
mm.
Longlegs is like really annoyed at Lee's mother because it's
Yeah,
like, you're ruining
yeah,
everything, and it's like, this is not how it's meant to, like,
yeah.
he's almost scared of the repercussions. Um,
Yeah.
because he
Yeah.
knows that it's like, you know, like if I don't get this done, I'm gonna be like in the seven spirals of hell, being burned constantly for
Yeah.
eternity and fire.
Mm.
And I'm always just a bit like, ah, this is so interesting and
Mm.
something. But then on the
Mm.
opposite side of that, I like how that's left because I saw on
Yeah.
Twitter people were like, oh, I'd love to know more about Longlegs. They went, what about a prequel? And then somebody going, this is what's wrong with modern horror.
Yeah,
We
don't give us more details in this film. I want
like
to know the mystery, please.
this is
Yeah.
it. I don't think we don't need
Mm.
a Longlegs longer legs. We don't need that. You know, it's like
We end up getting
um
it becomes like the Saw franchise.
and
It's
yeah, and
just more long
it's
legs X.
and you know
Yeah.
that that basement
Mm.
gets bigger with every sequel.
Yeah.
There's actually more
There's
people.
more people in the
Yeah,
basement. Yeah.
as the classic Saw franchise does. I have to admit the
That's
kind of
terrible.
revealing of
Yeah.
him going at the start where he's out of frame. He goes, "Oh, I've got my long legs on," and he bends down. I was like,
Yeah,
"Ah," I
I
was like,
know
"Oh my
that
god, that's
that
so
oh,
creepy."
yeah,
Um,
that's great.
but
So yeah, any
yeah,
final thoughts before we wrap things up here, Kyle? You
um,
said all needs to be said. Go see it.
no, yeah,
That's it.
go see it.
Go see it.
It's just it's creepy. It's great. I think the marketing department did a really good
Mm,
job on it. Um,
mm,
the Lee Harper, I think she has a really her interrogation scene with him. I was like, that's really good.
mm,
I really enjoyed that.
mm.
Her mum stuff, yeah, sure, that's good. Overall, solid. I would say
Yeah,
solid. I'd leave it
solid.
solid.
Yeah, I think best horror film I've seen so far this year. Just a
Better than
great,
his.
great.
I would say, putting Nicolas Cage's horror, this goes above The Wicker Man. I'll leave
Oh
it
yeah,
there. I would say, yeah, I think
Wicker
that
Man
goes
a
above The
close
Wicker
second
Man.
for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely
But
improved.
yeah, just I think this is a really great like just you need to see it in the cinema to really get the atmosphere of this film. It's a
Hmm.
really unsettling world. I really is the biggest praise I can give to this film. But anyway, yes. Later this week we will have reviews for the Acolyte and the Boys, plus an X-Men film ranking. And an X-Men film ranking. I think we're going to release that the weekend before
Yeah.
Deadpool Wolverine comes out very, very soon, so we'll have all that out soon. But look, we just give our opinion on Longlegs. But at the end of the day, those were our unwanted opinions. Thank you very much.